I was watching another, I was on the network watching another special from way back. It was the Mick Foley DVD documentary. And it just reminds me of another Hall of Famer who's going in this year, and it's Michael Hayes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That guy, see if you were to go, if I was like a young and upcoming wrestler, he is the last guy I would go to for advice, and I'll tell you why. Because on CM Punk, Edge's, and Mick Foley's DVD, he said that he couldn't imagine, like, when he first saw them, he couldn't imagine them sort of becoming what they became. He couldn't see it. And it's like, that's three of the biggest names ever, and you're telling me that, I couldn't see it.
Yeah, and you're in the position
I just couldn't see it. Oh, man. Oh, and did you watch Breaking Ground?
Breaking Ground.
The
most recent episode.
Yeah, not just it's not it finished. But did you watch? Oh. You watched that in general, didn't you?
Oh yeah, in general I did.
Yeah.
I don't know when it ended.
Well,
Maybe I watched the last one.
There was an episode where it was showing you a production meeting. In fact, it might have not even been that. It might have been a special for one of the NXT takeovers or something. But it was a documentary anyway. And, the NXT have their production meetings, which Triple H runs, and it's, all of the guys, all of the coaches, all of the staff sat around a big boardroom table type thing.
Yeah, I've seen
Michael Hayes is in there, right, sitting, but he's not at the table, he, sits in some couch in the corner in, his velvet tracksuit, and it looking like, your old sleazy uncle. From pitching in his sort of 2 cents every so often, and it's kind of just like, Michael, just shut up, man. You're I can't think of anyone who looks and seems to be more out of touch than Michael Hayes. I mean, even back in the day, when I look back at what was cool, and I may be totally wrong on this with the Freebirds and stuff, but to me, it just seems not cool. He just always seemed like a total cheesy, over-the-top rock star wannabe type guy. And I know that was maybe supposed to be his gimmick, because you were supposed to hate him. But, we were talking off-air about how Hogan can't separate himself from his character, Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, who is who. Well, Michael Hayes, buddy, I don't know what you think you look like in that gold velour tracksuit, but it sure as hell ain't a 60-year-old man who's supposed to know stuff, Yeah. And that's me.
In fairness to them, though, 25, 30 years from now, if the New Day got in, just think of how the next generation's going to think of them.
I know.
These guys, really, they're in.
But they're not
we're going to be sitting here well, they do deserve it.
Yeah, but I don't think that they think they're like that in real life. Do you know what I mean? The New Day.
Fabulous Freebirds?
The New Day.
Oh, the New Day.
The New Day, I don't think that, in real life they'll act completely different. Whereas I imagine Michael Hayes going around, sort of zhushing his hair all the time. And, just being obnoxious, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, that's my rant about Michael Hayes. If we've got any Michael Hayes or Donald Trump supporters listening to the podcast, they probably hate us now.
Yeah, not big
or
fans.
they at least hate me. So, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm cool with that. If you don't agree with my views, then please don't stop listening, but just disagree with me.
just tweet him at AngryAndroid83.
Exactly. There's a reason I'm called Angry Android, and that's because I like to rant about things.
You guys want to have debates? Let's have some.
Exactly, exactly, and that's what we're here for. We can't be nicey nice about everyone.
True.
But yeah. So anyway, and that I'm actually having a little Hall of Fame moment here. I was watching YouTube the other day, and I came across a video of Tammy Cinch. That's Sunny, for those who don't know. And it was actually a video from not even that long ago. I think it was maybe last year. Sometime, and man, time has not been kind to that woman.
Not at all.
No, she is, and I'll tell you something. People will say, you're being hard on her because, you know, time affects everyone, and we all get older and stuff, and hey, it was my birthday yesterday, so I know that. I know that time sort of changes things, but here's where I really sort of was like, interesting. So Tammy Cinch was getting interviewed at some comic convention here in the UK, and so they were doing it, and it was just in the hall. It was in the hall where everyone was, you know, where all the exhibitions were and all the fans and stuff were walking through. In the background was Terry Runnels. You
Wow.
remember Terry?
Yeah.
She still looks the same.
Yeah.
Still
Wow,
looks,
this
you know,
lady-
I always thought she was hot. You know, I'm not going to lie, I always thought she was really hot. I know she had lots of makeup on and she was, you know, she had like fake chest and all that, but she was still, she had you know, an attractive face. And she always looked quite glamorous and stuff. And I looked at her, and in the background, she still had her hair was all immaculate, and she looked like $1,000,000, man. And I'm like, okay, so if she can do it, what's your excuse? You know, Sonny's standing there.
I mean,
It's and just all the stuff with her.
did Terry do drugs?
No that
Sammy did.
no,
I mean,
that-
Tammy did.
not that I'm aware of. But it's you know, do drugs make you put on like 90 pounds?
Uh,
I thought they made you
know,
lose.
not-
I
not
thought they made you lose
necessarily.
weight.
Not necessarily, you know.
But-
Alcohol does.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. It's like all these bad habits and stuff. That's what's you know, but I hate it how she goes around, like, you know, she's untouchable, and it's and I'm just like, hey, come on, and you never hear anything from Terry Reynolds coming out, or I've not, of any bad stuff, and she was a major part at one point. Obviously married to Goldust for a while. So she was effectively part of one of the biggest wrestling families ever. And I'm sure she's got stories about the Rhodes family. But she come out and aired her dirty laundry? No. And I would never have thought to compare those two, you know, normally, unless I'd seen them. And it's like, well, they must surely be around the same age, I would imagine. They were both at their height around the same time in WWE. So surely, you know, I just think it's like, there's an example of one who, you know, I've not heard from in years, Terry Runnels, but when I see her, I'm like, I have fond memories. I'm like, Terry Runnels, she was always, you know, she was quite good part of Raw. She always seemed like, her character wasn't, but she seemed like a class act, is what I'm trying to say.
She's like more classy, and you know, no disrespect to her, but if you would have told me back in the day that she would have turned out more like Trish Stratus,
Yeah.
and this Tammy lady turned out like freaking China,
Yeah.
I would have been shocked, you know, that Terry would
Exactly, because their
would be
characters.
more like
I mean,
Trish than Tammy.
yeah. So, you know, I just thought that was an interesting thing to point out, you know, that I saw that, and I thought, you know, that's, I guess that's just the way life goes sometimes.
Yeah, she's going through a lot. Whatever.
Yeah, she has, and I mean, it's been a tough time, but I mean, some of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah, from what I've heard, she's not a good person.
She's not, and that's the difference, you know. You hear about people who have trouble with certain substances and stuff, but they're good people. I mean, obviously, like, for me, if I was to think of someone, Eddie Guerrero, you know, I was such loved his. I mean, I don't know if you ever read it, but I read his autobiography, and that guy, man, he was just all about his family, and not just his, you know, his Vicky and, but also his, you know, his uncles and his, like, looking after Chavo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His friendship and stuff like that meant so much to him. Unfortunately, he just had these demons that he couldn't, you know, in the end he actually did manage to shake them off, but ultimately the damage was done long term. And it's like, well, there's, you know, so it's like, just because you take these things doesn't make you a bad person. If you're a bad person, you're going to be a bad person regardless of whether you take stuff or not. So to use that as a crutch, to use that as an excuse to why you're a bad person, I think that's weak, you know. Because, you know, she's come out with stuff about Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog, Bret Hart, all these guys that everybody else is like holds in such high esteem. Why would you come and try to, take their name
Throw
down
dirt on their name
just to make a name for yourself?
Yeah.
It's
low, man. It's just low. You can just tell in my tone how much disdain I have for this person that I've never met.
Yeah.
Just because, from what I've heard, I don't know her personally, but from what I've heard, she's a bad person. Whether it's, fake cancer or, her ex-husband, Chris Candido, or I forget his name. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was.
But I've just heard too many stories to think that, oh no, that's got to be speculation and lies. She's a good person.
Yeah.
Like, nah, man. It gets to a point where you've heard too many to give you the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Yep. Well, that's so that was my. So I've pretty much destroyed the Hall of Fame. I'm actually planning on going to Orlando next year and actually burning it down. So yeah, that's the plan.
I'm not gonna lie. When they announced that, I kind of wanted to go. Like, that's a Hall of Fame that I'd be interested.
Dude, I want to go. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I've just pretty much destroyed it, I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I think because I've been to the I've been to the Hard Rock Hall of Fame in Orlando, and it was so cool because like I saw like Jim Morrison's leather pants, which was just like it's such a cool thing to say you've seen, and just like stuff like that. I'd love to see wrestling related stuff.
I know. It's just so much of my childhood that. I would geek out way more than if I ever went to an NBA or NFL Hall of Fame. Yeah. Like, WWE Hall of Fame would be it if they have the mantles, like the first championship belt, the Stone Cold era belt, the big gold belt. It would just be awesome. It'd be awesome.
Here is Doink the Clown's first wig.
For those things.
Oh, man. Hey, man. Here is the first hat that JR was made to wear without his consent.
If you're gonna throw Tammy in the Hall of Fame, I guess you can't be too upset about Doink.
Exactly. Doink.
Even though we don't know which person they would put in for
Exactly. Doink. But they don't even put people in anymore. They put characters in now. That's their thing. They don't put in Charles Wright. They put in the Godfather. They didn't put in Scott Hall. They put in Razor Ramon. It's like, Jesus, the guy had like one of the biggest careers in WCW ever. You know, you can't not call him Scott Hall. That's his name. So yeah, but Doink the Clown 2017. Let's start right now. Doink the Clown for 2017 Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Start it up.
Exactly. It's happening. It's happening, man.
We'll put Daniel Bryan in with Doink the Clown.
It just works. It just works for me.
How long do you think until Daniel Bryan's in the Hall of Fame?
Well, that's a tough. Probably.
Right.
It depends what they do with him. It depends what they do with him now.
True.
I
mean, he's on Total Divas still, so.
Well, that's a Hall of Fame career if ever.